Zap Protocol, and now we're talking about decentralized finance. And I think that uh, I really wanted to allow you to just like take it away because I think that you've been here since like not just like the beginning of like the usage of Bitcoin, but through the Bitcoin Center in New York City. But when we talk about decentralized finance, the Zap protocol is what comes to mind in my mind. So maybe you can give me a quick synopsis of yourself.
Oh, thank you, Eric. Yeah, I've been in this area, in this field for many years. I've been in technology for many years, built many businesses uh, over the decades, and cryptocurrency came around. I was ready to receive the message of cryptocurrency because I also worked in politics. Dr. Ron Paul, I was his director of voter contact and many other things on the campaign. And he always spoke about competing currencies. So when Bitcoin came around, even before Bitcoin, the competing currencies didn't really work because they weren't decentralized. So when Bitcoin came around, I knew that we finally have something that that works, that probably is going to work, that is decentralized, that cannot be manipulated by third parties, good, bad, indifferent actors, whatever. So at one point, I opened the first cryptocurrency exchange, live cryptocurrency exchange in 2013 next to the New York Stock Exchange,
Yes.
100 feet from the New York Stock Exchange. There's a Netflix documentary that they made called Banking on Bitcoin.
Yeah, banking on
It's
Bitcoin.
yeah, it's on Amazon also, and we to decentralize. I didn't really know much about exchanges or finance at that moment, but I always take the dive into the deep side of the pool to
Yeah.
learn how to swim. And
I was thinking about the same thing. I was like, I did not come from any type of way or any type of background to speak on finance at all. And actually just, I am a programmer here in Philadelphia. I learned these terms as they came at me. So that was just interesting. I don't have anything to do with finance, but now here I am speaking about it to these fine people.
the
But yeah,
founding fathers didn't have anything to do with democracy either.
so like, yeah, so you,
Philadelphia, of course.
hey, Philly. Um, but yeah, but Nick, you said, so you were, I actually heard about the Bitcoin Center. And actually every time that I talked about Bitcoin, people are like, are you libertarian? I'm like, no, not quite, but cool. So I was like every time that you talk about cryptocurrencies, and here in Philadelphia, it's fairly small. There's not that many, I guess, like of us from like the previous days. I remember doing our Philadelphia Bitcoin was meeting out of the 30th Street Station because it has it's air conditioned. There's food because there's a bunch of like vendors there anyway, like Taco Bell or whatever. And then you can pack a lot of people in there. So I think we've got over like we used to pack in like 20, 25 people. That was like wow. What I really think the person who really made it out was there was this one food truck outside that took Bitcoin because they knew that we were there. So we probably just gave them hundreds and hundreds of Bitcoin.
I hope he probably doesn't know how to sell it.
I don't know. We taught them pretty. I don't know. We've taught them pretty well. I think that's why they started accepting it. I was like, I can't imagine how many Bitcoin you've given away.
Well, that's what it was in the beginning. Everyone needed to know what it was. So as evangelists, we had to give it out and teach people how to use the wallets and just give it away for free.
Yeah.
So it did everything we thought it would, beyond our wildest dreams, and we gave a lot of it away for free. But I think if it wasn't out there, then the ecosystem wouldn't work. So
for sure, yeah. We're swimming in that ocean that what percentage of Bitcoin traffic was the center doing?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. There was a lot.
Yeah, but
We
it
don't know
wasn't
because it was
you.
decentralized.
Yeah, it
So
wasn't you. It was like you're setting up
yeah, the way we got away, the way we had our way to do it. The way we did it to stay within regulation is, I paid for the booze, I paid for the rent, and people met there and traded with each other, and I didn't get any commission.
Yeah, it's a
So that was the
peer-to-peer.
only way it could be legal, and that's what we did. So I think we had 60 some odd percent of the Bitcoin traffic at the time.
Yeah, and that blows my mind because I'm thinking about it
Um,
now because it's so international. And you yourself have been
on some of the sites, on the local trading sites,
mhm.
worldwide, I think we did about 60% some nights.
Wow. So I think that's what we came here to talk about. Uh, what does DeFi mean to you? Like, these are these new hashtag words. I think it's the same. To me, it feels like the same. But when you describe it, or when you hear about it, what do you think? Like,
Well, I think in the past, people built big buildings with big marble columns that
hmm
look majestic, so you can trust the building and trust the people have a feeling of trust. And sometimes that didn't work out that well. So, what DeFi means to me is that it's a peer-to-peer transaction, or that you're transacting. You're not even giving custody really away
yes,
to a human. You're giving it to a contract, a smart contract, which I'm not sure. It was coined smart contract, but it's a self-actuating piece of code that's immutable and sitting on a blockchain somewhere, and you're interacting with that smart contract, which is based on programming language, mathematics, and binary and stuff, and it's going to do exactly what it's programmed to do, and no one can change it in the world, even if it's written properly. Even the person who created it can't change what it does. So DeFi to me means an honest system, a fully transparent system, monetary system, a fully transparent monetary system. Uh, I think everyone's jumping in because the rewards are so great in comparison to our legacy financial system. I
I
was in the
agree.
Middle East. I'm sorry. I was in the Middle East a few years ago,
hmm
and I told the reporter, I said legacy financial system, and they coined it as lazy financial system. So, because he miswrote it, but you know what it is? It's a lazy what we have now is
Yeah.
a lazy financial system, and we have a very aggressive, transparent, honest financial system in DeFi. Eric.
Yeah. When so like if you ask so that's me asking you, and then I'm like, then I'm like, okay,
I'm going to ask
well,
you now.
okay, ask me.
What's DeFi to you, Eric?
DeFi to
Manganaro?
me,
From
DeFi to me is, I guess, I think you put it way more eloquently than I could have. But then I think when I think about it, I think about wild experimentation. I think about there's this new tokenomics that we're trying to play around with. And I think that when we started, uh, when we start talking about like Zap Protocol, we have, we're really like an open source set of tools, and the reason why it's decentralized finance is because we are literally trying to like bring a product that someone can use to either increase their own financial awareness, I guess, or like create their own business, or create a token that is directly used related to a use case, and then being able to for instance, sell information, which is important, or if you wanted to create your own token to be helped along the way with problems that you don't even know you have. So I think that a lot of early, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, if you were trying to start your own token, um, much like what you did and helped co-found, it was like you run into problems with liquidity with like exchanges, because now you're who's this guy coming in, now we would be able to bring your token to a larger marketplace. And we have like these tools that will help you through that, previous ICO stage, be able to be on a market and to provide liquidity to our tools like literally are a bridge for someone who doesn't have that previous experience or that previous iterations that say like you've gone through to actually actually express themselves digitally inside of like their own currencies or tokens, which to me is like an extension of someone's freedom, or maybe a little less eloquent, but that's what I think about
Yeah, I think
tools.
that's why we built it back in going through all this and seeing the different iterations of ICOs and Mastercoin and ICOs and different other projects that tried to and built out. The challenges were incredible. Let's say you wanted to make a token for your basket weaving company or something,
Mm-hmm.
you'd have to pay $5 million to get it listed on a big, giant, huge exchange to get
Yeah.
liquidity. And then you'd have to hire a market maker to keep it. So there wouldn't be that many. The differences in the bid and the ask wouldn't be so big. They could drive a truck through it, the
Yep.
proverbial truck through it. Then how are you going to get people there? So what we did was we built with Zap, we built the ability to allow anyone to create a token of their own, anyone to have their own market. It has a built-in algorithmic market maker, which is we call bonding curves. It was called before curation markets, and I coined the term bonding curves because I thought I did it by accident. I just couldn't remember curation markets. I mean, that's the truth. So bonding curves, and so what it means is that there's a fixed algorithm that people buy and sell off that point, and so the price slides up and down that fixed curve. And also, we give you your own DEX, your own decentralized exchange,
Mm-hmm.
Where people buy and sell out of the smart contract your token, and then it makes it that much easier. I think something's ringing.
Well, yeah, I think that. So we're talking about. That's interesting because now we have other concepts like we've now that we're fast forward into the future a couple of years since that started, and we can see how projects have used the bonding curve to basically control how their tokens, I guess, get expressed. Because when we think about a token, and you see like the usage of Bitcoin or the usage of Ethereum or all these other tokens, you can see there's a huge explosion, like a tree of like everyone sending to each other, and that doesn't happen unless those initial conditions for a token are stable. And that I think that when we talk about decentralized finance, and why I say experiments is because we want to be able to quickly iterate with some sort of software to quickly figure out what those initial conditions are, and like, what does it mean to actually bring, because you can launch a bunch of tokens, but what actually happens when after the end of it is something that.
Yes. And the market is going to figure that out because we're very decentralized, extremely decentralized, and anyone can build anything they want, build any token they want, just like in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And the market's going to weed out the bad actors. And when you talk about oracles, which is why we started this
Yeah.
project, oracles, unlike the database or anything, oracles are more like the Greek oracles. And what we do is we figure out, we query data in the three-dimensional world, and we trigger financial events in the blockchain world, and then that could even trigger other events back in the three-dimensional world. So it's an incredible future that's about to happen. We've created a crypto economic dynamic to like a game theoretical
Mm-hmm.
crypto economic dynamic to allow data to reach a point where reach price discovery. So you get your own token for your data, and you don't get to spend the money on the tokens that are sold, the access to your data that's sold, until the data is actually called from your platform, which makes it where no people can't do a rug pull, quote unquote,
Yes.
or want to, because the funds are stored in a smart contract until actually they're used. So we're trying to, we're evolving. The space is evolving, and it's much more robust system than the old, oh, I trust this building because it has marble columns in front of it. And the guy wears a nice pinstripe suit, so I'm going to give him my life savings. And we have a much more robust system. We can do so many more things. The only thing holding us back, if we were to be held back, would be time in a day to make even more wonderful, incredible things.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like what I see yourself. I see you as like an inventor in a place where there's like not much invention going on, and now we can see that type of open source mentality spread, because now we have interesting, different new financial products. I'm not sure if the rest of the room knows about it, but I want to talk about it. We can talk about what do you know about elastic supply?
From the room?
No, no, no. I want you to talk. I'm asking you to tell the room, because I think that we're really at a point where I think that the reason why we're invited to the Venture Cafe is that a lot of people don't have an idea of what's happening at the bleeding edge, and someone
Oh
like
my God.
you are at the bleeding edge constantly. So I'm like, okay, maybe we should
Bleeding
tell.
all over.
Yeah. So like, yeah. So I really want
So there are many projects.
there's a lot of really good projects out there, and I really want to talk about like what they did to change things, because that's where bringing people to what DeFi is, at least from our standpoint, which is going to be inherently different from people who are listening. So, I mean, maybe one thing that you'd want someone to know who doesn't know anything about decentralized finance. What is that?
Well, before they would get involved with Elastic Supply, I think they'd have to, with a project with Elastic Supply, which is an incredible project, they change the amount of tokens they have to reach at some price point in their tokens. So all of a sudden your wallet has more tokens, less tokens. It depends on what the supply of what their algorithm spits out. But that's something else. I think an easier thing to grasp is, let's say, Uniswap. Uniswap
That's a good one.
So in Uniswap, they have pools. There are different pairs. So you would, let's say, you'd have Bitcoin and Tether, which Tether is a peg to the US dollar. So you can have a wrap Bitcoin. So all right, let's talk about Ethereum.
Yeah, we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's back it up. So let's say you had Ethereum and USDT, which is Tether, and you bonded to these liquidity pools X amount of Tether, which would equal in the same amount, not the same number amount, but the value amount of Ethereum. And now you filled these two buckets with your portion of that asset. So Uniswap is an exchange which passes on the fees to the people who fill the buckets. For the people who providing liquidity get that percentage of the 3.3% is the fee that they charge.
Yeah.
And if you have 25% of the buckets is of the liquidity is yours, you get 0.3%, 25% of the 0.3% of the fees straight through. And that's pretty simple to grasp. There are many iterations and sandwiches of crypto.
Oh yeah, now there's like Sushi Swap. There's Pancake Swap, and now there's the these are all interesting projects that are all riffs off of the same idea that you can in order to increase the economic in and out of a literal whole market cap of a coin. I'm going to in a decentralized exchange. If I'm going to be, I'll post Zap, but I also have to post the same amount of Ethereum on the other side or whatever that they want on the other side of the book, and then I get a portion of the fee, just like how you would have it. That's just that's a to me sounds like a normal financial tool, but I don't believe that it's been available, uh, for the layperson to be a part of. And I think that's like another reason why people are really drawn to it, because when you have something like let's see, Robinhood, right? This is a pretty much like just like a database and a phone app. It belongs to one company, and they're like, whoa, 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 something's going on irregular in the market, and then they, to protect themselves or the people that they are interested in, they, turn the app off. Really, that's what it comes down to. And I think that that's what a lot of really everyone started seeing was like, oh well, I was promised a free market, and I think that that's something that we're trying to address with the stuff that we are doing, because in cryptocurrencies, uh, not even there's no bell at the end of the day. People keep on trading into the night, and actually that's why a lot of people just stay up all night trading. Like, oh, what's going on with my Bitcoin? Like, I'm not one of those traders, but there's a lot of things to say about having a market that can't be shut down just because one person is losing. Because I kind of like in those Wall Street bets, that's what kind of what was happening was someone was calling somebody on their bet that had no that basically could have infinite losses. So everybody was like, okay, the little person, the retail person could get involved, and then through the app they shut it down, and bada bing, now we're here, we're talking.
Yeah, I think they lost a lot of clients to
Mm,
DeFi. Uh,
for
I've been
sure.
saying all along that just by people getting involved with Bitcoin, this is what I said many, many, many years ago. People were actually going to learn what money was, because not people actually knew what money was, and just by getting involved with DeFi, they're going to understand that how they're not in a fair playing field on Wall Street,
Yes.
and the back smoke-filled rooms
Mm-hmm.
have controlled the price of milk for too long, and now mathematics and individuals will do that, because live by the technology, die by the technology. In many industries, like let's say music, for instance, before the gramophone was invented, the artist had to go around and play live gigs, and then gramophone was invented, and so then all of a sudden that's the new technology. That whole industry blew up. You had the music producers that took advantage of the artists and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden everyone could get the free music off the internet again, and then back to live concerts. So many industries, and now the internet went after that industry. The internet went after many industries, and now the internet's come after money and finance. So
Yeah.
it's very wonderful for the individual user. Uh, we're tokenizing data. You can tokenize your own data. We have a data marketplace where people can buy your data, speculate on your data. If you build an oracle that people want to interact with, um, it's going to have value because people want to buy it. If they don't want to buy it, it's not going to have value. So
Mm-hmm.
the people buying and selling and speculating on your data is a new thing. In the past, all these companies have gotten personal data and sold it on you and made all kinds of money on you, and they got all these weird phone calls to come to you at all hours of the day with all types of people calling you, and you never made a dollar. It just cost you grief and headache. And soon uh, applications that are built on our platform will stop probably the phone calls without you actually getting paid for the phone call, which is one of my goals also.
Yeah, that is a big deal, and that's actually something that um was always thinking about. I was like, yeah, we don't have like access or the ability just to meter that data. And yeah, that makes me think about a lot about it. Um, so I'm thinking about is there anything else that inspires you to talk about? Like what else do you think that kind of, because I know that you have a lot to say on the subject.
Uh, yeah, I mean, everyone's talking about tokenizing the world and tokenizing everything,
Hmm.
and it is the next step that's actually occurring, and that's why we built this platform. And I'm very grateful that Eric is at the helm of most of the development now, and I think we're about. Well, hopefully, we've changed the world, and that's what we're here to do. We're always early uh, with the technology, and I think
Sometimes you're too early, Nick.
usually, yeah, very
And
early.
it's Eric's birthday today, no?
Oh,
Oh,
dun dun! It is. Thank
happy
you.
birthday. How
Thank you.
old are you?
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Don't tell us.
No, I'm 34.
I had to blow the spot. I'm sorry.
It happens. No, I don't care about talking my age. It's great. It feels advanced. Oh, thank you, Angela, and everyone in chat.
You're
But,
awesome, Eric. Keep up the great work. Love
thank-
you.
Thank you. So okay, yeah, that actually something that caught my brain when you were talking, and something that I noticed too, and something that I had to undergo is learning about what literal money is when I was going through because like I said earlier, I'm a programmer. I'm just interested. I'm like, oh, what do you mean this program runs on everyone's machines? It sounds kind of like BitTorrent. That sounds like interesting because I was like, all right, I've downloaded things before and dabbled inside of like a decentralized attitude. But can you, I mean, for the people in the back, like, what is money? Like when I came into it, I was like, okay, what's Bitcoin? And then I asked like, what is like the
Money is
dollar?
the lithograms of dead people,
Yes, sir.
dead notables. You had Ben Franklin on there.
Hmm.
He wasn't a president. So money is lithograms of dead notables, redeemable in nothing but belief.
Okay, so that's
No,
interesting.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I mean that has a lot to do with it. It's like, what is money? Like, where does any token get its value, or like not just token, but where does like a currency gain its value, and how does it lose its value? That's another question too, because there are other competing currencies to the U.S. dollar that are across the globe, but what stops them? And that's kind of like the kind of questions that I don't feel like I have like a definitive answer, like this is why the dollar is a dollar. But it's more like it made you think about it because you're like, wait, what is a dollar? Because you don't really know. I mean, we have like honestly, we have like the power of like the U.S. dollar comes from our control over oil and our control over our GDP. So we literally instructed the world what the dollar was, kind of.
Well, we helped instruct it many times.
Hmm.
The Federal Reserve Act kicked in, and
Yeah.
I hear something.
Is it me?
Well, I don't know. So the dollar, they created the Federal Reserve note back in 1913. Well, the Federal Reserve Act, and then the note came out, and many people they weren't using it, and they started hoarding gold. And then FDR, after 10 some odd years, 12 years, went and made gold illegal. So, so
That did
they
happen, yeah.
had a lot of help. You didn't have to make the dollar illegal for people to buy that Dogecoin, but they
Just
made
Elon
gold
Musk
illegal
talking.
to create the upward pressure of the purchase of the usage of the dollar, because before there were many dollars. Even department stores had dollars. As a matter of fact, Ben Franklin was a printer, and he printed currencies and non counterfeitable currencies, and many banks had their own. Those are redeemable, and the $20 was redeemable in a 1 ounce of gold, and the dollar bill was redeemable in 1 ounce of silver. But what happened was no one was using. Then the Federal Reserve Act came out, and then no one wanted to use. There was no upward pressure people to use those bills. There was no reason, so they enacted a 2% the war tax. And then it kept growing. And they said, well, if you don't collect these lithograms of dead notables and give some of them back to us every year, we're going to put you in a cage. So first they took your gold away. Then they arrested Al Capone for tax evasion. Curiously, they arrested him for tax evasion at a very pertinent time to teach the masses to be afraid, not of the Tommy gun, but of the IRS.
Yeah, and then when England and France called in our debt, Nixon took it off the gold standard, and he said, well, we don't owe you anything anymore.
Wow. Thanks, Anna. Everyone, this is Anna, actually. She works with us. She's great. Glad that you can come in.
Well, Nixon didn't have a choice. We didn't have enough gold to give him, and the amount of currency that they had. And we should still have, I think it was a $60 billion at the 1973 or 72 price back Fort Knox. I bet you it's not in there either.
Yeah, so inherently, wherever you come from politically or whatever, and that's something that I found interesting at Coinvention when I ran it in Philadelphia, is that cryptocurrencies and these types of discussions have not just brought in people who come in from finance, but there are people who are coming in from every walk of life, and they're trying to learn at the same echelon. So, and I think that's something that was like a part of a conversation that I had to have with everybody at the beginning of Bitcoin. You're like, why should I buy Bitcoin? I'm like, oh, well, there is no real reason other than literally everybody in the whole globe has decided that it is worth at this price, because we, at the end of the day, believe in it, because the math and the implementation, that was like a perfect storm. 2008 at the source of the financial collapse. Satoshi Nakamoto includes that in his paper. And so it's like, sorry, there's a motorcycle going by. So yeah, every time, just to capstone that idea, I was at Bitcoin Philadelphia, and we were just discussing this. I was like, okay, why should I buy Bitcoin? Well, it's because, inherently, Bitcoin doesn't inflate, it deflates. In fact, I couldn't even tell you that I've lost hundreds of Bitcoin because I forgot my password. The early days, I don't have that Bitcoin anymore. Are you kidding me? That's just the way it works. So when we're talking about inflationary, debt-based note, then we're talking about the US dollar, right? Like, think about it. What's the, you talked about the dollar in the 1800s. We can't even think about the dollar 50 years ago and its purchasing power. So it's interesting. People are like, oh, Bitcoin's going up. I'm like, is it going up or is the dollar going down? I'm like, big brain.
Everyone thinks that real estate goes up, but it's probably the dollar going down.
Yes.
All the real estate people look at the 10-year treasury treasury notes, figure out if they're going to buy real estate and how much money is printed. So everyone's running to something that's scarce right now because apparently the dollar isn't. More money was printed. A third of the whole money supply of forever of the dollar was printed this year or the past year.
Yeah.
And, it's not fun for people. The older people or people who save their money, there's no incentive to save your money if they keep printing money. It's just perishable. Do you have incentive to try to save lettuce in the desert. I mean, how long can you save it for if you're in a very dry environment? So it feels like to me.
Yeah, this conversation feels like a dry environment. Psych. No, but yeah, no, I agree.
Can we take
because
questions from the audience?
I think we can. I think we had. Do you have the chat room up? I have it up on my side here. I've been like looking
Oh,
at.
oh, nice.
Oh, lots of happy birthdays. Hey, Sam. Thanks. Thanks, Victoria. Thanks, Roger. Whoa. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, let's talk about. I mean, if Rhonda. Thank you. What's up? Hello. Um, I think Rhonda posted a cool link. There's a guy named. Do you remember that guy Beeple? Says Beeple sells NFT for $69 million, becoming most expensive ever. So we're talking about NFTs. Interesting. What are your thoughts on NFTs?
I think
Two seconds on that, just because people don't know anything about that. I spoke about that 2 years ago. So what is an NFT first?
yeah, it's think of it as when you create a currency or
Mhm.
an ERC20, there it's a ledger. So an NFT is actually a thing with like a serial number, let's say.
Yes.
We're going to speak to in the layman terminology. So
I think it's the
a
F in
currency is a
NFT.
ledger, and an NFT is non-fungible token because a currency is supposed to be fungible.
Okay. Now that comes down to the definition of money, right? So let's
Yes.
pull it back just one more time. Just now we're touching
An
on high level.
NFT has to be unique.
Yes. Okay. So what is fungibility first, Nick? Because I know, but I don't know. I mean, we can talk about like the
Interchangeable.
properties.
It shouldn't have a provenance. It
Yes.
should be
Yeah, like
interchangeable.
every dollar has to be like every other dollar.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it has the ability to be devised. So now we can have cents.
Divisible.
Yeah.
That's
So I can.
Aristotle
Mhm.
gave those rules there.
So we like. So now we're talking about like, oh, I created a cryptocurrency and there's 1,000 of these tokens out there, blah blah. I think that's what, like, it has the ability to be split up. Um, you know, uh, the token set. But in this case, people are selling. It doesn't make sense for someone who's an artist. It doesn't make sense to have 1,000 pieces of your artwork. What are you going to do? Rip it up and then a piece of a piece of medium, or a canvas, or a song. Yeah, I mean, sure, you could split it up, but it doesn't make sense. You want to be able to own the song. I want to own the rights to the song. I want to own so like you say, the rights to use a patent. I want to I would like to have I want to be the person who gives this artist, in this case, from chat, this artist named Beeple, he sold his digital art, and that's what we're trying to allow people to do. Because it's another, just like what you're saying, live and die on artists they have a hard time getting paid through Spotify. Cryptocurrencies are a great way for you to accept payment from this burgeoning economy. But let's see.
Yeah, I think there are many uses that are going to come up. People are going to figure out for the NFTs or ERC 721s or 1155s. And they're going to be even more intricate than only like, a piece of artwork. Granted, the art community is very nimble mentally, and they jumped on it on the NFT, and they understand provenance, of course. So it's easy for them to take in the information. So that's why they're also leading in the NFT uh, marketplace. And I think NFTs are going to become even more intricate and integral part of contracts and utilization of IP and rights and corporate ownership and many uses for something that has a serial number.
Yeah, great. Actually, people are talking about how is Zap planning to interact with NFTs. I think that's a pretty
We
straightforward
allowed to
question.
say it here?
No, I think this is it. I think this is where we talk about it. I think that we're
I
talking
think it has
about.
to come out on the monthly reports
I get this is the better.
or the reports.
Well, we're talking about Zap.
Well, yeah,
Continue.
well, we built out a part of Zap that you can fractionalize your NFT based on the bonding curve, so you can sell 100 pieces, 100 parts, 100 units of your NFT of your artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And on the bonding curve, you get a widget, you put it right on your website, and you get your decentralized exchange, and people just go right to your website and buy a piece of the art. And it's like one of 1,500 or whatever you say you want it to be.
Okay, so we got another question, John. Serious question. Nick, can you please tokenize yourself on the new platform? I believe it would be my first Zap Bond. What do you say to that?
Bond, Nick Bond.
Nick
No.
Bond. Well,
well, yeah, we have.
He wants you to tokenize yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants you to do it. Will you do it? And he's like, yeah.
Are we allowed to talk about all this stuff?
Yeah, we can talk about anything we want. People are looking at us for information.
We have a big, huge crew of devs, and they're working on different stuff. And what are we gonna do? Just spill the beans all day over here? What's going on? Is it supposed to be controlled atmosphere?
Okay, yeah. Let's see. Well, I got just some questions. Let's see. What's another question?
Yeah, you can.
Let's see another question from BA. How can you make Zap accessible for smaller budgets, as current ERC20 fees would price a lot of users out?
Well,
Fair
Zap
question.
works on EOS also,
Mhm.
and we're working on a couple other platforms. I mean, we're a layer above a blockchain, so we're blockchain agnostic.
Yes.
And, there's some blockchains that don't have any fees, near nothing, near no fee. So depending on what you want to do,
Yes.
if it's a financial instrument, you want to attract all the traffic, the monetary traffic that exists in the Ethereum network. You want to make an ERC20.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want any fees, you can use it on EOS, and you don't have barely any fees at all. If it depends what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think just to lay into that was because, Ethereum does price out a lot of people because the network fees are extremely high. And just to reiterate on the fact that we are a layer above, and that we're a protocol, we're a piece of software, we're designing the future, and we want to be able to take that and go on any blockchain that you want to. And that I don't think that there's like, okay, how do you, at this point in history, we are seeing the growth of but here I'll take my walking cane. I'll be like, I remember when Ethereum was 1 cent. So if you had these problems, if you were trying to build a dApp, the economics made sense. Now, like, if I made a data call or if I was developing on it, then it was like sub penny. So I was like, oh, really great. This is awesome. This is the future. But now we're not even at widespread adoption, and then we're seeing that the cost of decentralization is shown its ugly face, and that's something that we're tackling on an engineering level, because if you have a dictatorship, things get done pretty quickly. Dictator, your computer's kind of like that, and you're like, I want this done right now, delete the file. It happens that way. But I guess consensus is expensive. We want to be able to make sure that all parties inside of that decentralized system are, their vote or their addition to the network is taken into consideration. So, consensus is a costly process. So it makes sense that as we are nearing an engineering problem, and, we're like, oh, well, now we have way more people than we thought earlier on, and it feels like we're in the 90s. things are slow, things suck. Because, I mean, you're there for a lot of the beginning of the internet. What do you feel is like the parallels between, things sucking because they're way too early? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I was reading one of these questions on here and I got sidetracked in my brain.
I know there's a lot of things going on.
But I think that reading these questions here,
Do you see Matthew T?
Where is he?
752. Hello. I'm curious about the marketing campaign to make a dent in the cryptocurrency market. There's a bias, not really a preference, for what's there and what seemingly works. What are you planning to take market share from the established players?
All right. Well, we didn't spend our money on marketing. We spent it on code. So we have a superior product. We're developing also Z++. That's built for, Zap as a language, over and above being a protocol. And we're totally decentralized. You build your own oracles, host them. We have a new thing that we're doing that I'm not going to tell everyone right now.
Mm-hmm.
But, we're moving forward with a superior product and things are moving fast and people are going to recognize. I mean, look at our code base. We have commits every day, all day. People are working, dozens of people are working on the code. And there are other projects that they take that money, instead of building out their code, they're buying ads. So people are
That's
clicking
kind of
their
like
ads and buying their tokens or whatever. And, it's a trap door over there.
Yeah, that's what I was
Make
thinking.
trap
That's
door.
like 2017 in a bottle. Everyone, I think that I remember, that's actually around the same time that I met you. I was like, oh, I should probably go to a convention or something. And there's hundreds of projects. And I was like, okay, there's 100 projects. Maybe there's at least 100 engineers, or 50, or 10. And it turned out to be 2. There's 2 engineers there. And I was like, wow, the space has like a problem, because one, it is money. So one of Ethereum's best features was the ability to raise money, if anything else. And like what you said, talking about marketing, if you spend the money on like the thing that makes it work, rather than spending on the money, then that's how you take market share, because then you have.
Don't get me wrong. We're going to tell the world, and you'll see. I mean, we have to. We do have a superior product, and things are happening very fast in the field. And I'm not the kind of person. I mean, other people promised all these things and they raised all this money and they didn't build anything.
Speaking of which,
that's not us. I'm not here for the money. I'm an activist. I'm first and foremost an activist. I built the Bitcoin Center to promote Bitcoin, because there were other entities out there saying that they promoted Bitcoin, but they never did. They promoted themselves. I did promote Bitcoin out of my own pocket. Sold Bitcoin from $10 to hundreds of dollars each, and sold them all. Not all, whatever. Sold a bunch of them. Sold about $130,000 worth a month to pay the expenses to promote Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And we didn't even make a commission off the trades at the center. And we paid everything to promote it. So we're about to move in that direction here with this new technology that we've developed. We've been alive for 2 years. It was just more for developers. And now we're making it available in an easier, fluent interface to normal people to be able to tokenize themselves, because we want to tokenize the world. And the way to do that is through Zap. I believe that 100%. That's why I'm doing this. I don't really have to do anything. I didn't even have to do anything before Bitcoin, but I especially don't have to do anything now. But this is my a love of mine. I want to free as many people as I can monetarily. To me, it's a monetary revolution. It's a peaceful revolution. It's a monetary one. And I hope everyone partakes in it in the way that they feel comfortable, and spread the word that we're here to expand the minds and abilities of the individual to create their own reality into the future, into this inevitable, incredible future once you adopt it.
Great. And that's something I want to use to segue was we are, in fact, releasing a new user interface for zap.org. At the end of this month, we're going to be doing a continuous deployment of all of our new features. And basically, a chance to speak here at the Venture Cafe was purely happenstance. And I was like, wow, this is a perfect time to talk about that, the power of open source software and why we want to be involved in allowing us to share it with everyone here at the Science Center. But I want to, bounce this back to Emily or whoever,
Thank you so much, Eric and Nick. This was a really great talk, and I really appreciate you spending your time with us tonight.
Great. Yeah, I'm really glad that you had us here.
Of course.
Incredible. Thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
If I could sing, we should all sing you happy birthday on the exit, but
that would be a cacophony. I'd be like,
it would make it not a good birthday.
We'll save it as an NFT, and we can fractionalize it where each one of us can have one piece of it.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Wonderful. And Nick and Eric, thank you so much for your time and educating us through how the definition of DeFi, what it means, and how you're part of the solution. I can make a little comment. I'm in financial services, so I consider blockchain, Bitcoin, and everything else in crypto world as alternative investing for people to really take in consideration. Knowing the remittance program very well, $550 billion is remitted every year. The cryptocurrency is really changing that whole aspect, because in some cases it could be 7 to 12% for the fees that's associated with moving money. And there was an article recently I just saw, it's a couple days back, that showed about what's happening in Nigeria. So Nigeria usually gets about about $2 billion a year or so. And this report ended up at the end of September, early October, where it goes from 2 billion to 54 million. And that's a big little dent. So imagine if you can just scale it out, and what cryptocurrency is doing, it's the wave of the future. And as you probably may have heard, a lot of S&P 500s, even the company that I work for, they've invested hundreds of millions of dollars of their treasury into cryptocurrency. So it's being universally accepted. And to hear the stories and to hear what Nick and his team and Eric are really doing, it's something for us as we learn more day by day. It's slowly going to be well received and recognized inside the whole financial ecosystem. So I do want to let you know, thank you so much for being a part of this and sharing your words of wisdom.